Welcome to the program. My name is Alexander Kerry. Now, Ukrainian cinema has seen a boom since the Euromaidan revolution back in 2014. Joining me in the studio to talk about this is Victoria Yarmoshchuk, CEO of Media Resource Management. Hi.
Hi, hello.
Hi. We will begin by the major changes on the market since the past few years. How did you saw this market evolve, since the revolution and maybe before?
Yeah. Thank you for having me here. Let's maybe start from the history. Ukrainian media industry, I mean movie and television industry mainly, have all the possibilities to develop very good and very significantly for the last 10 years. We have maybe it's not a secret for anyone that we had Russia and other Russian-speaking country near us, and this enabled us to produce a lot of content for a very huge audience. It means that we had enough money to develop here in Ukraine facilities, technologies, people, creativity, everything. But after this revolution happened and the war actions the eastern of Ukraine began, all changed, of course. And now Russian market is closed for Ukraine for obvious reasons. And this produce, I would say, more opportunities for us. Because as I told you, Ukraine has a huge potential here. And this potential must be released somewhere. And what is going on right now, all professionals in Ukraine who is doing films and television, they are looking for new opportunities in the western parts of the world. A lot of moves are made to join international contacts and to find partners all over the world.
So which Western markets, for example, are you targeting?
If we are talking about movies production, actually we can cooperate and co-produce with everybody, with anybody in the world, because one of the most significant trends in filmmaking right now is that local goes global. It was one of the definitions.
How do you explain local goes global?
I'll explain. Last month there was a Berlinale Film Festival and European Film Market in Berlin. This is like a trend-setting event for the movie industry. And in the course of one of the panels, prominent Polish filmmaker Agnieszka Holland was making her presentation, and she told this. What that means that local stories about local features and some local realities are now actually good, perceived very good for the rest of the world. So you don't need to have some international story with international cast, etc., to make it successful in other territories. All European countries now show content with subtitles, so you can produce something in Belgium, for example, subtitle it in Finnish language and
then
broadcast in Finland, for example. The main thing is just to have a good story appealing to human values, which is telling an interesting story, which touches hearts, etc. And here in Ukraine, we are really very creative and have good stories. And I suppose that we are European and international enough to have something to say to the world.
Speaking about stories, I think we can evoke the case of Bitter Harvest, which actually made a huge box office outside of Ukraine.
Yeah.
My first question is, can you tell us more about this production? And the second question, why is it problematic to distribute it in Ukraine?
I would say that I'm not a great expert in issues about distribution. You should better maybe ask the distributor. You know, this is Bogdan Batruk. He's one of the best, and I think it's I don't know about the inner problems, but the big problem of Ukraine right now is that we do not have many cinema screens in Ukraine. You will be surprised to know that there are like 500 500 cinema screens for the whole of 46 million of Ukrainian people. This is very little. And this is one of the biggest problems for Ukrainian cinema industry right now. But speaking about Bitter Harvest, from my perspective, this is a very good case of cooperation between Canada and Ukraine, but still it could not be called like a cooperation business-wise. How it was done, I know George Mendeluk very good. He's a great guy, he's a patriot, and he wants to do more for his country. He was successful enough to find investors in Canada who invested their money, who put their money into this production. And the Ukrainian company, which was assisting in doing the movie, they was just acting like a service base. But what is the aim? I also work as a head of Ukrainian Motion Picture Association. Our main goal to establish good and decent and I'd say equal conditions for equal co-productions between Ukrainian producers and the rest of the world. And Canadian producers, they are like one of our strategic partners, because Canada has a huge Ukrainian diaspora, and this year it is celebrated 25 years of first immigration of Ukrainians to Canada. And this is actually a very right time to do this, because Canada, it's not a secret, Canada has very good conditions for international producers, and taking into account that Ukrainian and Canadian people has a lot of really common. Ties, it would be just good to provide for equal business opportunities for both countries, and this will result in many more good content, movies, films, what else?
So we talked about Bitter Harvest. Is there any historical sort of trend in the Ukrainian cinema now? Just, reconstitute its historical moments or historical events?
I would say that history is always quite a popular point for filmmakers, especially in such countries as Ukraine, which past is not that clear, and a lot of doubts how to treat it. And that's why for our nations it's very important to have such a films, really to understand where we came from and what our way further should be. But still, what is the most important for our people right now, I think, just what is the obligation of filmmakers right now? Just to make more films which will raise the social optimism, I would say, because people in Ukraine, unfortunately, is quite depressed at the moment because of economy, because of war, because of all the circumstances in which we live. And this is important to make not exactly film which will entertain, but they will bring more positive to people's mind and to give them hope. And this is the main purpose.
And speaking about more positive movies, the animation movie Mavka has been presented in Bordeaux recently. Can you tell us more about this film? It's still a work in progress, as I understand it.
Mavka was like a real breakthrough for Ukrainian animation industry. It was the first Ukrainian project ever chosen to be presented in Bordeaux, and this movie, it's gonna be released in 2019. It is based on Lesia Ukrainka novel, famous Ukrainian poetess, but it is telling the story about two worlds, the world of humans and the world of forest creatures.
Fairy world.
But it is all about love and about important choice whether to stick to your love or to your duty to protect the forest, for which Mavka is like a hostess or mistress, something like that. This project will be like the first animation which will show the world Ukraine from another perspective, as a prosperous, very creative, and very, how to say it, nation which looks into future, but nevertheless having very rich historical background and very rich mythology and culture.
So turning back the look on Ukraine. Thank you so much for this interview. Joining me in the studio was Victoria Yarmoshchuk, CEO of Media Resource Management. Thank you for watching the program. Stay tuned for the rest.